Hey, it's been a while, hasn't it? So I wanted to do an update since my life has been pretty crazy as of late. So far this year, I've only uploaded 2 videos, and I feel awful about that. If you couldn't tell from my last upload, my next review, the Season 5 Animated Atrocities finale, will be reanimated. It's going to be in 2 parts, and the first part is already in editing. And yes, before you ask, there will be a Season 6. I mean, it's my job, I kinda have to make a Season 6. I can't just walk away yet. And let me tell you, I have some big projects planned for the remainder of the year. Now, a lot of people have been asking me if reanimated counts as animated, and I do go into detail with that in the review. I do want to talk about why things have been so sparse as of late. Last year, I tried to stick to 2 videos a month, and I still think that's a very good schedule. I like that schedule. I try to keep that schedule. As long as I'm not reviewing a full-fledged movie every other week, it's possible. It allows me to create the best content that I can at a reasonable pace. However, as you might have noticed, we're beginning in March here, and I've only reviewed 2 episodes so far. I do want to elaborate on why. But I do want to warn you that it's not exactly a happy story. It's got a happy ending. It's not a happy story, but it can be a funny one. In the winter, I get sad. And by sad, I mean I get seasonal affective disorder. It's a kind of clinical depression that hits you like a ton of bricks when the days start getting short. In October, you can conquer the world, but by November, you want to do literally nothing. And I think that the videos that I made in December did reflect my mood. The videos that I made that month were rather somber. It's okay, though. Life had other plans for me than just dealing with seasonal affective disorder. For the past year, I've had chronic insomnia. This is kind of the secrets revealed of the 3 a.m. uploads. You see, insomnia was pretty much the culprit. It had me staying up later and later, until bam, I was legitimately nocturnal, waking up at about 7 p.m. and going to bed at 10 a.m. Which is a very, very, very bad thing if you have something like, I don't know, seasonal affective disorder, which gets worse if you have less sunlight. I've actually got a funny story about what happened next, though. Because, you see, if life itself had a genre, it would be a comedy. Just remember that comedies frequently aren't for the people who star in them. Basically, what I'm saying is that we are all the Squidward of our own life. Insomnia is a funny thing. It makes your brain turn to shit to the point where you're making wordy rants about koalas. No, I'm not kidding. I've gone into wordy rants about koalas. Little old sleep-deprived me. If you want to know the logic behind why I did that, good. I do too. And I was the one ranting about koalas. If you really want to know, and the best I can parse it, I was angry that koalas sleep for 15 hours a day, and they're, not extinct yet. Because sleep is kind of stupid as a concept. Natural selection should have weeded it out as soon as it came around, because being unconscious and unaware of your surroundings for 8 hours a night means you get eaten by predators who don't need as much sleep. But I'm kind of afraid to say these things, because I feel that if I talk shit about sleep ever again, I will regret it, and the concept of sleep will make me regret it. So yeah, now I'm kind of in an abusive relationship with sleep. I was able to keep the insomnia at bay with medication. The funny thing, though, is that I had built up a tolerance to said medication. Not only that, but when the medication wore off, the sensation of trying to fall asleep was giving me panic attacks. Yes, this guy was getting panic attacks from doing something as simple as trying to go to sleep. Why? Well, there was a death in the family. You see, when you can't shut off your mind as you fall asleep, you feel your body go numb, and the process of sleep paralysis. And when death is kind of on your mind, well, on some level, the sleep paralysis kind of feels like you're dying. And then you have the panic attack, which makes you think that you're going to die even more. A panic attack is also a jolt of adrenaline in the system, as it activates your fight or flight response, which is great, unless you're trying to fall asleep. On top of that, a panic attack can make your mind go to some pretty dark places. Especially when you've got the mind that makes you viciously hate koalas, those lazy fucking bastards. You end up believing that the stress of a panic attack is going to stress out your system too much, and you become more hesitant to fall asleep. You believe that your body is so desperate to relax that it won't keep up key systems going if you accidentally fall asleep. You start praying that you'll just pass out from exhaustion at around the 2nd day. And on the third day, when you don't pass out because it's too soon to pass out, you start legitimately believing that this is the end, and you start reflecting on everything that you've done in your life, and everything that you haven't done with your life. Taking stock of your accomplishments, and what you're most ashamed of that you haven't finished yet. These moments tend to be incredibly lucid, the most deep and lucid moments of your life. Or at least, they were for me. I don't know how you guys deal with it when you run into this situation. There's also this funny thing about stress. If you get stressed enough, the things you do to relieve stress no longer end up working. And because you're not getting less stressed, you end up getting more stressed. So, on the third day, I went to the emergency room. Now, this is the funny part. You see, it was President's Day, so the hospital was understaffed. And it was flu season, so the hospital was rather quite busy. So, here I was, sitting, ready to break every chair in the building, zoinked out of my mind, contemplating death, when I saw what was on the waiting room televisions. You see, they were all tuned into Cartoon Network. And considering that it was a holiday, it was a marathon of Teen Titans Go. Like, I can laugh at all of this now, but I want to make it absolutely clear. I am not joking about anything I said. And I want to make it very clear. I am absolutely 100% fine right now. I am doing good. I am fine. I have moved past the situation. That situation was bad, but I am doing much, much better now. Literally, all of those things happen. And here I am sitting on the other side of it, laughing at me. It was the worst experience of my adult life, possibly my entire life, and I can relay it as a funny story. Largely because it has a happy ending. I mean, first of all, I'm not dead. I guess that one is a matter of perspective, but it's a good thing for me at least. It's especially good because, to put it bluntly, this experience did change me. In the few days immediately after the incident, I felt new. I was euphoric. Like, it was an experience where food tasted better. I enjoyed things on a new level that I had never enjoyed them before. I've leveled out a little bit since then, but I still feel that my mood has been heightened substantially since before the incident. To talk poetically, I felt like a child experiencing things for the first time with the wizened mind of an adult. Something as simple as feeling wood chips under my shoes and touching a brick wall felt fascinating in ways that probably don't make sense to me even now. The immediate day after, I played my favorite games, listened to my favorite music, and each of them I had enjoyed more than I hadn't in a long, long time. And for the first time in a while, I had actually begun trying new things. Watching new movies for the first time in a while, playing new games for the first time in a while. Because this experience had made me realize that I was stagnating in my personal life. I was doing the same things over and over and over again. And before this event, things were continually boring me. Even my favorite things that I loved doing, were no longer bringing me joy. And on top of that, I became reluctant to try new things, even things that I had heard great praise about. I didn't see any point in trying anything new. And here's the thing. I didn't realize all of these things at the time. I didn't realize this is the way that I was feeling at the time, because it was a slow, gradual process, systematically destroying what life means to me, and doing it so slowly and so gradually that it felt natural, like the worst kind of seed. It felt kind of like seen it all syndrome. I mean, it's no wonder this game isn't giving me joy anymore. I had already played it 1,000,000 times. This game has just aged poorly. This movie, I'd seen it already. I know all the twists. Some of this may have been from the seasonal affective disorder, but some of it was going on before winter. I don't think this was a near-death experience, technically, because the risk of dying was actually quite low. Like, at some point, I would have passed out due to exhaustion. And as long as it wasn't in the middle of a road, I probably would have been fine. But at the same time, I know what I felt. And what I felt was pretty damn extreme. On top of that, I went through all the cliched things that you hear about, examining what I had done with my life, what I hadn't accomplished. I went over so many of my memories and examined the journey that life had been up to that point. And risk or not, it felt enlightening, for lack of a better word. It was a strange, new experience, and the relief afterwards is just something I can barely articulate. Life-changing, to put it lightly. I started up drawing again after months of not giving a shit. I've been reconnecting with my family and friends. I felt a reignited passion for everything, and I have started taking better care of my health. This is not one of those adversity builds character things. I'm not trying to say that. What I am trying to say, I guess, is that we can come out better at the end of hard times if we just let ourselves. If we know what to do with our emotions and let them steer ourselves in the correct ways. There is always hope for the future. And after this situation, believe it or not, my insomnia has been largely gone, believe it or not. I think I've only had one kind of iffy day since the incident, and that was my fault. Had an iced tea too late one night, and the caffeine kept me up. And yes, now that I have a better sleeping schedule, that kind of means it's the death of the 3 a.m. uploads. That's not going to happen anymore. Insomnia had many painful lessons to teach me. One particular one is that tomorrow is never guaranteed. When almost at random, there's a chance you're going to be brain dead the next day, you learn not to procrastinate. On the small stuff, at least. Day-to-day insomnia gives you that kind of perspective. Get the project done today. You don't know how you're going to be feeling tomorrow. get it done today. Today is a blessing, use it to its fullest. But the big insomnia taught me essentially the same lesson, but for the overarching story of life. In my Fame and Misfortune review, I did mention that I was apprehensive of risk. I've always been apprehensive of risk. I'm a person who likes certain situations, things where I know that I can absolutely comfortably do something. But sticking in this comfort zone was getting me to the point where it was sabotaging my future prospects. Like I said, this is a career that I have that lives and dies off of risks. If I never take risks, I fail. That is certain to me. And again in the past, not taking risks has led to me making the biggest mistakes of my life. I mean, there are obvious risks that I'm glad I didn't take, but the few times that I had risked something, these insanely calculated risks, they came out for the better. Like starting this review channel, for instance, meeting some of my new friends, starting these wide-scale projects, even reaching out to some of my influences. Not that every risk always turns out to be good, but never taking any risks does lead to a worse life than taking a few bad calculated risks. And I'm actually beginning to look forward to what 2018 has to offer me. I have a very ambitious set of projects that I want to accomplish this year. And they're not just reviews. There are other projects that I've been working on for a very long time. I'd go through them all here, but I imagine that my editor isn't going to want to go straight from one movie review to another, as Minions is going to be episode 151. So he's probably going to be doing the Animated Atrocities Season 6 trailer in between these two reviews. And I will see you shortly. Good day.